Hello and welcome to Run Testers. My name's Nick and this is our review of the new Balance FuelCell Rebel V3. So the Rebel V3 is a non-plated, relatively low stack, lightweight, fast daily trainer. Stands out a little bit on today's marketplace for a few of those different characteristics. I mean, it's not actually low stack by standards that existed 5 years ago. The kind of plated training shoes that people are using a lot these days, it is a slightly different option to have on the market. It's £130 in the UK or $130 in the US. It's, like I said, it's very lightweight. It weighs in at 216 grams or 7.6 ounces in a UK size 9, and it's got a drop of 6 millimeters. Key updates with the Rebel V3 compared to the V2 are that it's got a slightly higher stack throughout the shoe and a slightly wider forefoot. That has contributed to a small gain in weight on the shoe because the Rebel V2 was really light, just over 200 grams in my size 9, but this is still a very lightweight shoe. For that extra weight, you're also getting a more robust, thick upper on the shoe. It's still an engineered mesh, but it's certainly a little bit more structured and has a little bit more support around the heel and more padding there than on the Rebel V2. So there was some concerns about the upper being a little bit prone to tearing on the V2, which I didn't have a problem with, but those hopefully have been allayed by the stronger construction on the V3. The outsole has also been changed. You've got a different kind of rubber and a different rubber layout that's more in keeping with the Super Comp range. Again, outsole durability was a bit of a concern with the Rebel V2. There were certain areas of the foam that seemed a bit softer and would wear away a bit. So hopefully this new outsole will allay those concerns. I've not seen any undue signs of wear in my testing. We're up to about 60k in the shoe now. So at the same time, it's a lot of exposed foam there. You've got a fairly soft midsole. I don't think durability is going to be the top attraction of the Rebel V3, but hopefully those little changes that New Balance have made will extend the lifespan of the shoe, which is probably now more going to be dictated by how long the midsole retains its bounce. On the fit, the Rebel has always been a shoe that's run small in all 3 editions of the shoe. I think it was the most extreme with the first edition of the shoe, but the Rebel V3 still is a shoe that runs a little bit small. So I am quite small for my size, and in my normal size, I've been okay. At the same time, going half a size up would probably have got me a more comfortable fit, especially looking at longer runs in particular. So yeah, I'd probably recommend going half a size up in it, but if you tend to run slightly small for your size and like a tighter fit, you'll probably be okay in your normal size in the shoe. I've had no concerns at all with the fit around the midfoot and heel. That's been all good. The only real noticeable thing about fit is that it is a little bit cramped on the toe box there. So my first run in the Rebel V2 was a progression run. We have the video up on the channel and I enjoyed doing it. I moved from an easy to steady pace, just running around 10k. And I said in that video, and what I thought at the time was, I didn't really notice a big difference to the Rebel V2. It got a little bit more midsole stack there, but it hasn't really changed the feeling of the shoe. And my concerns in that video were that I had the same problem with the V3 that I had with the V2, which was it felt fantastic for distances up to around 10k, but if I ran longer than that, the foam, particularly under the forefoot, just started to compress a bit, bottomed out a little bit, didn't get the same bounce back from the foam, and it just became a little bit dead underfoot. I was wrong, it turns out, because since that first run, I've gone out and done some more longer runs in the shoe, and I really think the V3 is quite a significant improvement on the V2 on that front. Like, I haven't really had those bottoming out issues in the shoe, going up to around 15-16k in the shoe, which is certainly a length of run that I would have experienced that on the Rebel V2, and that's really running at any kind of pace. So I think the extra midsole stack under the forefoot in particular just means you get that little bit more bounce in the shoe, and it retains that bounce longer into runs. So I think that is a big an important improvement with the V3. I still don't think this is a shoe that I'd want to run long in a lot of the time. Like, for me, I just prefer a little bit extra cushioning or maybe more of a rocker style shoe for longer runs, especially like heading over 25k. But I did enjoy this shoe for those harder speedy runs in particular over longer distances much more than I did with the Rebel V2. So that little bit of extra stack has improved the ride for me. In general, I've just really enjoyed the shoe pretty much every run I've done in it. It's great for speed sessions, other speed sessions, particularly doing shorter reps, just because it's so light and fun and bouncy, and you just really can pick up your foot and get a really nice springy ride going. So I've done a couple of speed sessions in it, and the one that I talked about in the ASICS Magic Speed 2 review we have on the channel, where I used both of the shoes to compare the feel of a non-plated shoe like this to a plated shoe like the Magic Speed, and did the first 5 reps in the New Balance, and yeah, it was noticeably bouncy and fun. And when I was really, especially starting out in rep, you just leap out the gates in the shoe because you're getting that big punch from the fuel cell foam and a really enjoyable ride where you're boinging along in the shoe. And then when I switched to the Magic Speed 2, it's a different kind of ride with that shoe. You're getting a more kind of efficient, that plate is in there to kind of help you tick over, and you just had a slightly higher cadence running in the Magic Speed 2, a lower vertical oscillation, and just ticked over really well. And in a sense, you can see how that's going to work for running hard sessions, especially longer ones, and be more effective with a plate in a shoe. But I think it was more fun running in the Rebel V3 because of that boingy feeling underfoot. And for reps like that, and even workouts like that, they are quite long, but you're in training, you don't necessarily need to enjoy the benefits of a plate to tick through those sessions as effectively as possible. There is a case of just saying having this flexible, more grounded shoe like the Rebel just makes it a little bit more fun and feel a little bit more natural when you are running fast like that. However, then when you look at kind of extended speed work, like longer tempo runs, steady hours, especially long runs where you're going to throw in some hard sections of pace towards the end, then really a plated shoe like the Magic Speed 2 would have a big benefit, I think, over the Rebel V3. But again, that might come down to whether you want to use a plated shoe for that or just save it purely for race day, in which case the different feel of the Rebel V2 is a very fun thing to have on your foot for speed sessions in training. I've also enjoyed the shoe a lot for just running easy runs. I found this with the Rebel V2, just a general daily train that you're taking out for 5, 10k a lot. It's just a really good option. It just feels really good on the foot. I think the only easy run where I didn't like it as much was just a pure recovery run the day after a long run. And when my legs were a bit more tired, and I think I just appreciate maybe a more muted protective ride from a higher stack shoe, just for a little bit of extra cushioning. So on pure recovery runs, it doesn't feel the best. Like, it was fine. I still enjoyed it on that run, but I think when you get to high mileage weeks and you have got a few of those just all out recovery run efforts, you can go really slowly, then I think a more cushioned shoe would have its benefits to the Rebel, which does have that pop and make you feel like you want to have a little bit more of a burst on your run, and when you just don't need to on those runs. Overall though, really enjoyable shoe, nice and versatile, great fun ride, and I do think a improvement on the Rebel V2. So I think the Rebel V3 is right up there as one of the best all-rounder running shoes going, and if you're someone who's looking for a shoe like that without a plate in particular, it's one of maybe the two best options on the market. We'll come on to the other one in a bit. Actually, in many ways, it's the shoe I thought I was getting with the Asics Nova Blast 3 after one run, and after reading loads of rave reviews about that shoe. It's light and bouncy and really fun and versatile, can use it for lots of things, and actually the Nova Blast 3 just kind of deadened out, and after that I only really found I enjoyed it for kind of fairly easy runs. Like, the midsole didn't give me that much back and it felt quite a big shoe, whereas this does feel very sprightly underfoot. You've got the slightly lower stack there for one, but foam's a bit bouncier, and the shoe in general is just a much more nimble thing. So yeah, brilliant shoe to have in the arsenal, and I think really goes up against the Hoka Mach 5 as the best non-plated all-round training options for me. Like, you can do a lot of runs in both of those shoes. They're both really versatile. The Mach 5 has a much smoother ride, and I think it's a more comfortable shoe if you're doing long runs in particular quite regularly. I think the New Balance has a bouncier ride and a little bit of an extra edge when it comes to fast speed work with short reps in particular. I think it's a little bit more dynamic than the Mach 5 for that kind of run, but at the same time, Mach 5 probably suits me better. I do enjoy a rocket ride like that, and it really is great for easy runs, whereas I think the Rebel V3 is pretty good for easy runs and great for kind of short easy runs, but on more relaxed long runs and recovery runs, it doesn't have quite the same level of protection as the Mach 5 for me. I think in general it might lack cushioning for some people who just want a more comfortable ride in general, even for daily training, and actually there's loads of great options out there like that these days. Like, even all the plated training shoes have stacks that are higher than the Rebel V3, so it is, I think, a shoe that people who do crave that slightly lightweight feel, that flexible feel, the shoe that gives you a bit more contact with the ground, then that's what you're going to be looking for to go for the Rebel 3 over those shoes. And a similar shoe in that vein would be the Puma Liberate Nitro, but I do prefer the Rebel V3 to that shoe. This has a bit more cushion, a bit more bounce in it. The Liberate is even more grounded and more flexible, but I don't think with the lower stack height on that shoe compared to some of other Puma's other shoes, you get as much from the Nitro foam with it. But it is a fair bit cheaper, the Liberate Nitro, though, so if you are looking for a similar shoe for under £100, that's one option. Obviously, the other big option in this area is to get some of the lightweight plated all-rounder shoes that are out there, and that is one of the strongest categories on the market, so it's hard for the Rebel to compete against it. Things like the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3, the Asics Magic Speed 2, the Puma Deviate Nitro 2, these are all excellent shoes and they're really comfortable. They've got higher stacks, you can use them for easy runs, and then you get the plate, which does help with holding fast paces on longer sessions and longer runs in particular. So I think those are better shoes in terms of performance. If you're looking for a fast trainer in your range, if you're going to choose the Rebel V3 over them, you've got to like the fact that it is a non-plated shoe, and it's a lighter shoe and a nimbler shoe and a bit more flexible and natural and a bit cheaper as well. But just in terms of pure performance, I'd still be getting one of those other shoes, but you can kind of use them both in your rotation. It's not a bad thing to have those plated shoes there, but then if you want to go out and have a nice fun and fast ride and you don't want to use a plate, because you don't want to use a plate all the time, then the Rebel V3 is a really nice option to have in your rotation. So yeah, all in all, a really great shoe, a bigger update than I expected. looking at the specs of the shoe, and after my first run, I just think that little bit of extra cushioning in the midsole has made a big difference for me, and just extending how long the shoe feels good for on faster runs in particular. And so I do consider this a worthwhile upgrade on the Rebel V2, but at the same time it does share a lot of characteristics with that shoe, and if you didn't find it works for you in lots of ways, then you're not going to find a massively different experience with the Rebel V3. It just extends the good times really on runs, in that the bounce just stays there a bit longer thanks to that slightly higher stack. So that's our review of the Rebel V3. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Are you a fan of shoes like this, or have you just switched to using the great all-rounder plated shoes out there like the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3 and don't really feel the need to go and get a shoe like this as well? Please like and subscribe, ring the little bell, and we'll see you next time.